Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Inspirations. This week, inshallah, I will be joined by some of our guests, and I hope you will join us to talk about Al-Ihsan. The concept of Ihsan is a very important and fundamental issue in our lives. It is what we need today as Muslims. It is something that we have done away with. We need to get it back to its position in our lives, and we need to get Ihsan in all aspects of our lives. Inshallah, I will be joined by our guests, and I hope that you will join us to talk about it in detail and try how we can benefit from it and implement it in our lives. So join us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, today's topic, inshallah, that we will talk about is Ihsan. Ihsan, alhamdulillah, we finished talking about Islam, and we talked about Iman as well in detail. And I hope that our viewers and even ourselves have benefited from that, because it really makes a big difference when we understand our religion right. Just as the Prophet ﷺ and his companions understood this wonderful religion and they implemented it in all aspects of their lives. This is why they were the best nation ever raised for mankind, because of their excellence, because of their sincerity, and because of their determination in applying Islam. So today's topic or main theme is Ihsan. Ihsan, this beautiful concept in the religion of Islam, or in the way of life of Islam. It is so beautiful. And actually, it's a higher level. Islam is just like the basic level of Islam, which is the foundation. And when you exert yourself more, and you do more actions, and you get nearer to Allah, you actually promote yourself to the second or the higher level, which is Iman, to have absolute faith, absolute belief in the aspects that we mentioned. Belief in Allah, belief in His angels, belief in His prophets, belief in His past revelations, belief in the last day, which includes belief in death and the grave and all the events that will happen in the hereafter on the day of resurrection, and belief in the pre-decree of Allah, al-qada and al-qadar, the good and the bad of it. You believe in. Once you have achieved this belief and you have incorporated this into your life, then it will create wonders. You can move actually to the higher level, which is Ihsan. And Ihsan, as happens in the hadith, or as occurs in the hadith of Jibreel that we are explaining, when he came to the Prophet ﷺ, when he asked him about what is Ihsan, O Muhammad, what is Ihsan? The Prophet ﷺ gave him a very beautiful answer. It was, Ihsan is to worship Allah as though you see Him. And as you don't see Allah, then you worship Him, and then you know for surety that He sees you. Now this is what Ihsan means. If someone reaches this level, he or she will live in this life with full certainty and conviction and strength, inner strength, strength of soul that has no parallel, no equal around in this world. When you know, you live your life aware that Allah sees you in all your affairs, as if you see Him yourself, all your time, all your life you are aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine, let me try to break this down, bring it closer to our limited understanding as human beings. I remember that when we were kids, when we were very young, I remember that one day my father came to school, and that was a day of open activity. We could do whatever we wanted. And there were games, there were football matches, there were basketball games, people were playing volleyball, different games actually, different activities. So I remember I was playing football. I remember my dad was there. And all throughout the game or throughout the match, I was aware that my father was watching me. Every second passed, actually my father was on my mind all the time. He's watching me. I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to show my dad. I'm going to make him proud of me. That was my own impression. That was going in my mind. So I did my best actually. So imagine, for about an hour, a whole hour, I had this kind of ihsan with my father. My father was on my mind all the time. He's watching me. I have to make him proud of me. Now imagine you live your life from birth to death. All your times, wherever you are, no matter who you are dealing with, in this kind of mentality, aware that Allah is watching you. So you're going to make your best in order to please your Creator. So even if people mistreat you, Even if people cheat, even if people wrong you, you still deal with them according to the justice that Allah taught us. Because you are treating people through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what happens to you in this life, you are aware that Allah is with you, Allah is watching you. So you're going to do your best. You will be the person that Allah wants to see. You will be the kind of mentality, the kind of character that Allah is pleased with. And this is how we can make a difference as Muslims. This is how the companions were. This is why they changed the face of the earth. They changed history actually. And they made history, as we said previously. So this is the concept of ihsan that we want to deal with today, inshallah, and even next week. It is very important in our lives. It is a concept that the Muslims have done away with. And this is why you see the Muslims today not in the state that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why you see the Muslims are going backward. Whereas other nations are going forward, are getting more advanced, more developed. Where the Muslims, unfortunately, not only physically and in terms of like material achievements, even in terms of morality, in terms of the society in general, the Muslims are deteriorating. Why? Because Umar said a very beautiful statement. He said, Allah gave us glory and honor with Islam. And if we seek honor and glory with anything other than Islam, then Allah will bring upon us humiliation. So actually it is within our reach what we can do for ourselves, what we can do for our nation. And every one of us can make a difference. This is what we are trying to do throughout this series of inspirations, okay? So ihsan, the concept of ihsan, we'll try to break it down, okay? In Arabic, when we say ihsan, what does it mean? The concept ihsan, or the word ihsan, the basic meaning, the very fundamental meaning of ihsan means to do well. To do well. When you do something, you do it well. When you perform any kind of job, you perform it well. When you are entrusted with something to do, then you do it well. You do your best. You do it earnestly, full-heartedly. You want to achieve the best. This is what the original meaning of ihsan. There's another connotation or combined meaning with that. It means actually perfection. This is a beautiful meaning in Islam, perfection. This is why ihsan is the highest level in Islam. You start with Islam, which are the practical implementations of faith, the 5 articles of faith, the 2 testimonies of Tawheed, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and the prayer, the fast, the zakah, and hajj, pilgrimage. Then the higher level is iman, is faith, absolute conviction about which there is no doubt. And when this actually becomes so rooted in your heart and in your soul, you move to the highest level, which is ihsan. This means perfection here. Perfection of your faith, perfection of your character, perfection of all the aspects of your life. This is what ihsan means. So the Muslim is not, he's a perfectionist, but not in the common meaning of perfectionist. Perfectionist, practically a perfectionist. We do everything perfectly. Why? Because we are dealing with Allah. Despite and in spite of all the limitations around us and the obstacles on our ways, our sights and our hearts are attached to our Creator, to Allah. So no matter what obstacles we have in our way, our performance is for Allah. This is why we reach perfection. We don't deal with people according to what we receive from them. No. We deal with people according to what Allah wants from us, according to the perfection He wants from us. So this is why we achieve perfection. This is why the Muslim character is the most perfect character on earth. This is the meaning of ihsan. So many people, when they read the hadith of Jibreel and they come to the meaning of ihsan, what's the meaning of ihsan? Is that you worship Allah as though you see Him, and because you don't see Him, you worship Him knowing for sure that He sees you. They don't really try to reflect on the deep meaning of this. This is what we are trying to do today, to see what's the meaning of ihsan, how important it is for us as Muslims, and why it is very fundamental. It's a very fundamental instrument with which we can change the world. Because we know the goal and the aim of all the Muslims, the sincere ones, is to change the world. is not to change the world in a negative sense. On the contrary, it's a positive and a constructive sense to bring justice to all humanity. We could see all the civilization, the Western civilization that is based on materialism, that is based on capitalism and egoism and selfishness. All this civilization actually, all these ways of life have brought destruction upon human beings. Even people in the West are not happy, and we know that. Those amongst you who lived in the West, they know that the people there are not happy. Maybe superficially they are happy. They seem to enjoy themselves. They seem to enjoy this life. They seem to have the materialistic aspect of this world, the wealth, the possessions, a house, a car, all the means to achieve or to enjoy oneself. But in reality, there is no real contentment in their hearts. We know that. We know that from the high rates of suicide that are prevalent there. Like the World Health Organization, and we mentioned this statistic so many times, every 48 seconds there is someone in the Western world who chooses to end his or her own life. Now what kind of mentality, what kind of mindset, what kind of feelings or psyche someone has when he reaches the level when he sees or she sees no point in living, no point in maintaining oneself, and deciding to put an end and a stop to this life. What kind of happiness this is? This is definitely misery and abyss. It's not happiness. Real happiness is in fulfilling what Allah sent down to His creatures, because He knows what is good for them. And if we go back in history to the Muslims, to the bright eras of the Muslim life, of the Muslim history, we can see wonderful individuals who really lived this life in a beautiful mindset, constructive kind of attitude. This is why they spread Islam around the world, through their manners, through their character. And this is why they changed the world. And this is how we want to be. And we have the potential to be like that. Now don't be desperate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. No one despairs, no one is desperate of Allah's mercy except the disbelievers. If you have faith in Allah, you know there is always hope. Because hope is associated with faith. Because when we have faith and we have perfection, we have ihsan in this faith, we know that our hearts are attached to Allah. We know that glory, victory and change comes from Allah. All what we have to do is to prove to Allah, to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we do really care for this way of life, for Islam. We do care for the commandments of Allah. We want to make a difference. We are willing to make this difference. Once Allah sees this from us, with real determination, we will start to harvest the consequences and the fruits of this determination, inshallah. So these are the aspects, some of the aspects of ihsan. A third meaning of ihsan, taken from the Arabic language, is basically is a transitive kind of meaning. It means basically to do favors or to do others favors, to be good to the others, to be helpful, to extend your help to others. This is what ihsan means. This is why ihsan actually involves the meaning of charity. Charity is to give others, is to be good to the others, to care for the others. This is part of the meaning of ihsan. So now when we read the hadith of Jibreel and come to the word ihsan, we should see it in this comprehensive kind of sense, that it's loaded with meanings. We can't find one word in English that would translate the word ihsan. Even these three fundamental meanings are just basic meanings. And the implications are so wide and comprehensive that they include every aspect of our lives. So inshallah, as throughout this series, alhamdulillah, I felt that through myself and through most of our guests, and a great number, alhamdulillah, of our viewers, through their feedback, that this series is not actually intended to be some kind of theory or some kind of discussion or argument or a speech that we have here and then that's it. We stop at that. No. We are not satisfied with mere talking, with lip service. This is not the attitude of a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, this series has created a lot of change. Even in me personally. In some of our viewers, and some of our guests as well. and they made a difference. And this is what we intend actually, to make a difference through ihsan, through understanding ihsan. Now I would like you to actually start brainstorming, as inshallah we will have a break, and I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you what ideas and what thoughts you have about ihsan. How can we Muslims have or achieve ihsan? Talk about yourself. Talk about yourself. And let me mention this personally. I personally always wanted, for example, I saw the influence of the media, and I always thought that we Muslims have to achieve something in the media. If we want to reach out to people, we have to get into this field. And tried my best. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me some facilities in that. And I'm not satisfied with what we have achieved so far in the Islamic media. We need to do more. We need to have perfection in the way we actually fulfill, and the way we carry ourselves in the Islamic media. We have to reach perfection in all the aspects, in terms of the set building, in terms of the quality that we produce to the people, in terms of the presentation. We need to make a difference. We need to achieve something. This is our responsibility as Muslims. Don't think responsibility is just, for example, to pray and fast. These are the foundations of Islam. But these actually prepare you to do something more. So, I want to hear from you, please, personally. For example, what kind of understanding comes to you when we mention ihsan, as we are talking about ihsan? How do you see yourself fulfilling ihsan? What aspects of ihsan we can achieve as Muslims today? Please, speak about yourself. Speak about your community. Those among you who lived in the West, please tell me how Muslims in the West can achieve ihsan. How do you see we can really further the cause of Islam in the Western countries through our conduct, through our perfect character? So, inshallah, we will try to elaborate more as well on the meaning of ihsan. And after we discuss and hear your comments, and if you have any inquiries, for example, we can deal with them, inshallah. We will take an example of ihsan, a wonderful character. We talked about it last week, but we will explore it further today, inshallah. The character of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. We will see how perfect he was. This man was amazing. And every time I read about his life, I thought maybe 2 sessions or 2 episodes would be enough. But every time I read more about Abu Bakr, I realize how hard we need to work in order to make a difference in this world. Okay? So now we'll go to a short break, inshallah. And after the break, we'll try to take your comments. And I say to our viewers, inshallah, we'll carry on after the break, so stay tuned.
Dear viewers, Hoda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Hoda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Hoda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Hoda, a light in every home.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're still watching Inspirations. Let me remind you of our email address. That is inspirations@huda.tv. Inspirations@huda.tv. Please keep sending us your emails. We said before the break that we will take some questions and comments, inshallah. So let's see what you have to say about ihsan. Okay, let's start here with...
Alhamdulillah, Allahumma salli wa sallim barak ala Muhammad. I believe one of the best ways of looking at ihsan is really going back and see how did the companions look at it. How did they understand ihsan? One of the things that really struck me as I was reading about Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, radiallahu anhu. You know what he said? He just said a small little sentence. Amazing, they said the least you can imagine, but it had a great meaning. He said, to apply the ihsan, he said, deal with the Quran as if it came down just on you, or just for you. Imagine that. Imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Quran to you. What would you do? Say, you know what, don't worry about anyone. Worry about yourself. Do your utmost and then see what kind of impact that will have on your life. I really believe that it will really have a big impact on your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it very clear. He said, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا لَاعِبِينَ. I was not playing when I made these heavens and earth. Imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to talk to us in that language. So we can understand that what kind of responsibility we have to deal with this life and to deal with actually conveying the message. And he said in another ayah, he said, خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ. Take what I give you seriously. Do your utmost, do your best. This is exactly what ihsan is all about. And that's a very nice, I believe, the application of ihsan. Always never talk about procrastinating. You say, I have something to do. I'll do it, in 3 days. The 3 days becomes 3 weeks. The 3 weeks becomes 3 months. And all of a sudden, a year is gone. Remember, there's always that shaitan looking at you and staring you and standing in your way and saying, don't worry about it, you're fine, you will do this thing. So remove these ideas, bad ideas from your mind. Do your best all the time, and inshallah, I think you'll be in a good shape. That's what ihsan is all about. Okay.
MashaAllah, that's a very good example, really, of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. And really, that statement is very strong. If you really imagine that the Quran was sent to you, and you are responsible for every letter there, and you are going to be held accountable by yourself there, not worrying about others, then it really makes you more serious when you deal with the Quran. And this actually leads you to ihsan, which is really try to perfect the way you deal with the Quran, the way you receive the Quran, and the way you take it. This is how we should be. Jazakallah khair, Brother Basil. It's very strong kind of understanding of ihsan that we should have, actually. We should always have this. Take the Quran seriously. When Allah commands you with something in the Quran, take it. It's for your own benefit. When Allah says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, Allah is calling you with the best name, with the best description, believe. Those who believe. It's a very wonderful description. It means Allah is paving the way for you that leads to perfection. Allah is making it easy for you. Ihsan has been made easy for you. All what you have to do is to have sincerity. Once you have it, inshallah you will get it. Jazakallah khair, Brother. That's a very good example, mashallah. You have a question here?
I want to talk about the Muhsin. The Muhsin, he is the best because he does his best always.
MashaAllah, that's a very good point as well.
And why he does it, he wants to please Allah.
Yeah.
And Allah said, Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin.
Excellent. The one who is Muhsin, the one who does his best, who does his utmost for the sake of Allah, he does that in all circumstances, in all aspects of his life. He achieves his best. He aims at what is best. This is why the Muslims have high aspirations. They have high aspirations in all aspects of their life. So when the Muslim, for example, is a doctor, he tries to be the best doctor in his area, in his field, in his hospital. When the Muslim is an engineer, he tries to be the best engineer there. Why? Not just to be pointed at as he's the best engineer, no. Because he's a Muslim and he knows he's an example. This is why this kind of attitude, the Muslims should actually pay attention to that. And unfortunately, and let me venture to say that, when I lived in the UK, I remember, if you really wanted to hire a plumber, for example, to do you some kind of work at home, most of the people would hire someone who was non-Muslim. And when I asked them, why don't you hire a Muslim plumber? Hire him, and so you support each other as a Muslim community. He said, no man, I'm not going to hire a Muslim plumber because he will do some kind of a patchy job, and what he does will break down a couple of months later. I'm not going to do that with a Muslim. And every time I agree with him on a price, or he gives me a quote or a quotation, and then once he starts the job, he says, oh, we need something else. You have to pay me because I did you some extra work. And this is how it goes with the Muslim professionals most of the time, unfortunately. This is the example that we are propagating about Islam. So imagine, even the Muslims are saying, I want to get someone who's non-Muslim, because once he gives me a price, he sticks to it. Once he says, I will do this job, then he will do it perfectly. Now for me, this is a description that actually should be for the Muslim. This should be the description of the Muslim. No matter what you do, try to be the best. Not for the sake of the people, not for the sake of fame, not for the sake of showing off or to be pointed at as someone who is excellent, someone who is better than the others, no. Just to show, just to achieve ihsan and to please Allah. And another reason is to show humanity what Islam really means. Because Islam actually really calls us to ihsan, calls us to perfection. Jazakallah khair, very good comment, mashallah. We have other comments here?
Yes, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, brother Moutasem, for having us.
Yeah.
Ihsan is a very great subject, and may Allah help us to benefit from it and benefit others from
Amen.
it. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Ihsan, Allah had written Ihsan on everything, on everything. And Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the nearest to me in the hereafter is the one who behaves the best. So if you want to be near your beloved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you shall try to behave the best in everything. Start with ibadat, worshipping Allah, in prayers. Do you pray Fajr on time? Do you pray all the prayers on time? Do you follow up with your family and your children? Do you fast the way Muhammad taught us? Do you do these things right, and do you implement it on yourselves? Second, ihsan is also to be kind to your family and nice to your children. Play with them, teach them, spend time with them. Try to make them understand Islam so they can give a good picture about Islam. And also, alhamdulillah, ihsan also teach us how to treat neighbors, and further, all the way, even how to treat animals. Even Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he saw a man putting down a lamb, trying to slaughter it, and sharpen his knife, he said, couldn't you have sharpened your knife before putting it down? You know, you killed her twice. So even ihsan goes all the way down to animals. Ihsan is a perfect thing. I advise all the Muslims to teach their kids so they can give a good picture about Islam, especially for non-Muslims. This is create a perfect society who have a great impression for others to enter Islam, inshallah.
Inshallah, mashallah, it's a very good comment. Really, ihsan it shows, just highlights how important ihsan in our lives as Muslims. It is an integral part of our makeup as Muslims. No one should do away with ihsan, no matter what we do, even with slaughtering an animal or a lamb. The Prophet ﷺ, as he said in this hadith, Allah has ordained ihsan on everything. Has ordained ihsan, perfection, or doing well, even with slaughtering an animal. Even the way we treat the animals, we should have ihsan. In everything we do, down to the smallest detail, we should have ihsan. And the beautiful hadith that the brother quoted, that the Prophet ﷺ said, the nearest to me in the here or in paradise will be the one who has the best manners or the best character, or who behaves the best. Imagine the word in Arabic, ahsanukum akhlaq, ahsan, is taken from ihsan, the best. It has the perfect character, the most excellent of manners. This is what the Muslim is, and this is how we should be. So inshallah, we will try to achieve ihsan, we will try to do our best to be real Muslims who have this ihsan, no matter what we do, no matter where we live, so we give the right image of Al-Islam. You have a comment here?
I want to say that departing from al-ihsan or charity and doing good can cause community decomposition, actually.
Yeah, actually, ihsan contributes to the community and to the whole of humanity. Why go too far? Why be limited to the community? All of humanity. Ihsan is being always good. And the Prophet ﷺ, even at the time of war, the Prophet ﷺ would instruct the commanders of the army. He would say to them, don't kill an old man, don't kill a woman, don't hurt a hermit or a priest or someone who is in seclusion worshipping Allah. Don't even cut off a tree. Imagine, this is the kind of excellence, the kind of perfection that the Muslims have, even in the time of war. Even prisoners are not to be killed. They are to be fed and taken care of. And they are to be given chance to free themselves through offering some kind of service to Islam, as happened during the Battle of Uhud, during the Battle of Badr. Everyone who taught 10 of the children of the Muslims, he taught them writing and reading, he would go free, he would be set free. So Islam actually calls a collective kind of, Islam calls us to this collective kind of ihsan, so we achieve the perfect society. And this is always for the good of humanity in general. Do you have a question here?
Yes. Do you can give us examples about ihsan?
Okay, examples about ihsan. Actually, mashallah, the brother here gave us already an example of Abdullah bin Mas'ud. And inshallah, the second half of this episode, we will talk about, as we said, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. He's a wonderful example of ihsan. A person who achieved ihsan in all levels. This is why one of the tabi'een, the generations that came after the companions, he said to some of the companions, Abu Bakr did not excel. Abu Bakr did not excel because of excessive prayer and fasting. No, but because of something that was in his heart. Full conviction and ihsan. Because when you look at the life of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, all his life, everything he did it perfectly. No one could even, surpass Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Even Umar ibn Khattab, when he tried his best to excel, he could not compete with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Now these are beautiful examples that we will try to highlight, inshallah. Let me take, if there are final comments before we go to the second half, Brother Rasif.
Yeah, one more thing is that there's like a misconception about the salah, the siyam, and all these worship acts that we do. If we just understand that they are means to ends, because it's as simple as that. If your salah did not lead you to become a better Muslim, you know what? Allah doesn't want it from you. If your hajj, there's a rafatha and fusuq, there's dispute in hajj, you know what? Hajj is not acceptable, and so on and so forth. So we don't just concentrate on that and make it as a goal, which is the salah or the siyam. No, this is just a way to become a better person, and that's how we should change. It's an attitude that we should take, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair, mashallah. We should have as well this understanding of acts of worship. It's not just the prayer for the sake of prayer, for the sake of like this kind of physical movements. No, there is a meaning behind that. And we need to achieve this meaning, which will lead us to ihsan, which will lead us to perfect our character, will lead us to perfect our society as well, and lead us to perfect all the aspects of our lives. So, okay, now we're done with talking basically about ihsan. Next week, inshallah, we'll carry on talking about it in more detail. We'll try to see the different aspects of ihsan and elaborate more on them. And now we will move to the second half of the show, where we will talk about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, this beautiful example of a Muslim character, a perfect Muslim character. We'll see how he was, try to take the lessons from his life, and try to emulate him and take his example. Take him as an exemplary form, and this would help us, inshallah. Okay, so we say to the viewers as well, stay tuned to talk about Abu Bakr after the break, inshallah.
You have questions that bother you. What about issues of concern to you? Would you like to share things on your mind with us? Are you interested in solutions based on an Islamic perspective? Please join me live in Meet Your Advisor every Friday at 9 p.m. Mecca time, here on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're still watching Inspirations. We're still dealing with the concept of ihsan in al-Islam. Okay, we said now we'll move to talk about this beautiful character of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. For 2 weeks we talked about that. It was so beautiful, so wonderful. But still there is a lot more to be said about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. When you talk about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, it's so profound. This character is so profound. And this actually reveals to us that sincerity, when you have sincerity, really you can actually, you will promote, you will enhance your character. You will be a totally different person. Sincerity makes wonders, and it actually can help you achieve things you never thought that you had the potential to achieve. Okay, just to explore some of the aspects of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, one of the beautiful aspects that show the kind of perfection that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had in dealing with the people. So many times, quite often in our lives, we tend to pay attention to one person and neglect the others. There are certain people that you are concerned with, certain people that you love, and you try to please all the time. But for pleasing them or for doing what they like, most of the time this will be at the expense of upsetting somebody else, or maybe sometimes oppressing other people. Now Abu Bakr wasn't that kind of person. He had this beautiful balance between different people. So he tried to give everyone his rights. And this is a very difficult thing. You know, when you deal with, especially when you have a big family, for example, you try to please this kid, you try to please your daughter, you will upset somebody else. It's very hard to maintain this kind of balance. Now, this is what Abu Bakr as-Siddiq had achieved. This is why he was really different. One day, Umar ibn al-Khattab, we know his daughter was Hafsa. She's the mother of the believers. Now, Hafsa was married to a man called Khunais ibn Hudhafa al-Sahmi. He died. Khunais died. After that, Umar ibn al-Khattab wanted to find his daughter a good husband. And this shows us how the Muslim community acted, how they behaved. It's not shame to go out and try and find a good husband for your daughter. Most people are shy to do that. Islamically, if you are really concerned for your daughter, as you help your son find a wife, it is equally important, and it's the right of your daughter to try and find her a good husband. So Umar ibn Khattab went out and he tried to find a good husband for his daughter because he loved her so much. So he came across Uthman ibn Affan. He said to Uthman, do you intend to marry? He wanted to see if he had the intention to marry. He would say to him, my daughter is there. Because Uthman ibn Affan was one of the best of the Muslims. Uthman said to him, I'll get back to you next day. So he went and he got back to him and he said to him, I don't really have any intention for marriage at this moment. So that was okay. Then he went to see Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. This is Umar ibn Khattab. He said to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, do you intend to get married? Because my daughter is available and I'm looking for a good husband for her. Would you like to marry my daughter? Now, so many people would be so shy to do that. How can I go and ask people to marry my daughter? But why do you go and try and find a wife for your husband, for your son, but not for your daughter? Find her a husband. It is the same. It's the right of your daughter that you find her a good husband. And this actually was the case with the early generations. For example, we know the story of Imam Malik ibn Anas. He's the Imam of Al-Madinah. He was the Imam of Al-Madinah. Actually, one of his best students was very poor. One day Imam Malik came to him and he said, are you married? His student said no. He said, do you intend to get married? He said, yes, I would like to get married, but I don't have any wealth, any money. I can't afford to get married. So Imam Malik said to him, don't worry about that. I've got you a wife. And that was the daughter of Imam Malik himself. Now all young men at that time, they were dying to marry the daughter of Imam Malik. So he brought his student, he said, okay, I'll get you married tonight. Then he wrote the contract and he married him to his daughter. Now, next morning, this student he woke up early, he wanted to go out. His wife said to him, where are you going? He said, I'm going to attend the lessons and the classes of Imam Malik. She said, come and sit down. All the knowledge that Imam Malik has, I've got it here. So I will teach you. Imagine this kind of wife. You don't have to go out to seek knowledge. She will teach you at home. So he was pampered by his wife. Anyway, it just shows us the attitude. We should always aspire what is good for our daughters, just as we aspire what is good for our sons. Okay, so when Umar ibn Khattab came to Abu Bakr and he said to him, if you intend to get married, then my daughter is available, Hafsa. Abu Bakr did not reply to him and he just went away. So Umar was upset. When I'm coming to you, telling you about my daughter if you would like to marry her, and you don't even give me an answer? Anyway, after some time, the Prophet ﷺ asked for the hand of Hafsa, the daughter of Umar, and he married her. Now Abu Bakr came to Umar after that and he said to him, I know that you were upset with me when you offered me to marry your daughter, but I had heard the Prophet ﷺ mentioning her because he wanted to marry her. So I did not want, this is a matter of privacy, a private issue, matter with the Prophet ﷺ. I didn't want to air that or spread it This is why I did not reply to you. And I'm coming to you just to tell you that I did not do that intentionally. I knew what I was doing. I didn't want to spread the news of the Prophet ﷺ and his intention, and I did not want to upset you. So imagine, he kept that balance. He kept the secret of the Prophet ﷺ, and he was concerned for Umar ibn Khattab. He knew that he upset him, but he was waiting for the right moment in order to explain the issue for him. Now this is a beautiful character. Who of us, and sometimes at the time of hardship, we upset so many people around us, but who of us has the courage and the guts to go back to them and apologize and explain to them the issue? No. Would insist that they don't have the right to be upset. They have to be a bit, accommodating, a bit understanding, a bit tolerant with us. No. Abu Bakr wasn't that kind of character. He would always try to keep that kind of balance among or between the different people he dealt with. Now, another beautiful aspect of Abu Bakr's character was his supplication. He knew that supplication is a very important part of the life of the believer. So, it is quite often in the books of Sunnah that mention the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that we see Abu Bakr ask the Prophet ﷺ, what should I say after the prayer? What should I say during the prayer? Oh, Prophet ﷺ, what should I say in this situation? What supplication can I make? So he was always concerned to make the best supplication. This shows his perfection in terms of worship, as the brother said, that even with worship, we try to be perfect. Perfect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because actually perfection is aspects. Perfection with the Creator. To achieve ihsan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To do well in the way we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we pray perfectly. We do our best during the prayer. When we fast, we try to do our best. When we make pilgrimage, Hajj, we try to do our best. This is our attitude as believers. This is ihsan with the Creator. And there is ihsan with the others, as Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was doing with people as well. And he had ihsan with the Creator, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the way he worshipped Allah. Okay, one of the supplications that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq used to often supplicate, especially during the time when he was the Khalifa of the Muslims, he always said, Allahumma ja'al khayra a'mali khawatimaha. Oh Allah, make the best of my actions, the later part of my actions. So actually perfection means is to seal your actions with the best kind of conclusion. Always crown your actions. Your performance should be the best when you are about to finish your job. This is a beautiful aspect of perfection that Abu Bakr is teaching us. This is how beautiful he was, or his character was. And he would say, Allahumma ja'al khayra umuri akhirah. Allah, make the best of my life, the conclusion, the last part of my life, make it the best. Why? Because the Muslim is in a constant state of perfection. Every day that comes, I am better than yesterday. I'm better than the day before. So we are always in a state of progress as Muslims, and this is perfection. We achieve perfection as we go further in our lives, as we go on. This is our life as Muslims. This is perfection. Okay. One of the supplications as well that show the beauty of the character of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, so many times he was praised. People would praise him because of his beautiful character. And he would say, Allahumma la tu'akhidni bima yaqulun. Oh Allah, do not hold me accountable because of what they say, because of their praise. He was down to the earth. He was so humble. This beautiful character, we should learn from it. Quite often we like people to praise us. But Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, whenever he was praised, he would say, oh Allah, do not hold me accountable because of their praise. وَاجْعَلْنِي خَيْرًا مِمَّا يَظُنُّ. And make me better than what they think. Make me better than what they really, better than how they view me. Make me better than what they think. Allahumma la tu'akhidni mimma yaqulun. Ja'alni khayran mimma yadhun. Waghfir li ma la ya'lamun. And forgive me my sins, about which they know nothing. Forgive me my sins. I have sins, shortcomings. They don't know about them. Forgive them for me. You see, this beautiful character. So we'll try to be like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So inshallah we achieve this perfect character and this kind of perfection. Okay, another sort of aspect of the excellence of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was in worship. One day the Prophet ﷺ asked, and he said, he was sitting with the companions, and he said, who among you is fasting today? Abu Bakr said, I am fasting today. Then the Messenger ﷺ said, who fed a poor person today? Abu Bakr said, I did. O Messenger of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, who has wudu at the moment? Abu Bakr said, I have wudu. And the Prophet ﷺ asked, who followed a janazah? Who followed a funeral today? Abu Bakr said, I did, O Messenger of Allah. Imagine, all these are aspects of worship, aspects of excellence. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq always was looking for the good things, trying to do this, trying to do that, in order to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was his main concern. Now so many people today, their main concern is how to get more money, how to get more wealth, how to achieve something worldly today. But Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was always looking for any opportunity to please Allah, and he was doing it. Everything he could, he did it. That was perfect character. So the Prophet ﷺ said, these things do not combine in one person except that he will be from the people of paradise. So this is why he was excellent. This is why he excelled all others. Okay, so for us, it's our responsibility today to try to achieve this kind of ihsan in all aspects of our lives. Always look for the things that will please Allah and try to do them. Feed a poor person. Help others. Fast as much as you can. Always, whenever you see any opportunity to do something good, always do it. So you be like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Another aspect of the perfection of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is one day the Prophet ﷺ, at the time of hardship and preparation for jihad, he asked the people to bring what they can from their wealth. So now Umar ibn Khattab said, today I will do better than Abu Bakr. Imagine this kind of competition. Now we compete in different things today. Unfortunately, so many women now today compete in terms of nakedness. Men, try to compete in imitating the disbelievers and following these fashions and trends. But Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar were always competing to do what is good. So Umar said, this is my opportunity in order to do better than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So he was doing something really big. So he brought half of his money. Imagine, for example, sometimes we go to the masjid, to the mosque, and we really think 1,000 times before we give, for example, like $10 or £10 donation for the masjid. We make a lot of calculations before we venture to do that, and most of the time we decide not to do it. Why sometimes some people get, like, for example, $1,000 US a month, and it's very hard for them to give for the masjid about $10 a month. They find it very hard. Now Umar ibn Khattab, what he did, the wealth he had, he brought half of it, split it into two halves, brought half, and gave it to the Prophet ﷺ. So the messenger saw a lot of money. He said to him, what did you leave for yourself and your family? He said, I left half and I brought half. So the Prophet ﷺ was so pleased. And Umar said, today it's my day. But Abu Bakr came and he brought a lot of money as well. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, what did you leave for yourself and your family? He said, I left for them Allah and His Messenger. Everything I had, I gave it for Allah. Now Umar was definitely disappointed with himself. He said, I can never compete with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. If we have this kind of competition among ourselves, let's try and revive this kind of competition. We can do that. Let's encourage each other to do that. You see, so now when we mention these stories, it's no wonder that these people led the world. They brought justice to the world. They brought the light of Islam to every corner in the world. And until today, we still remember their names. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, and Khalid ibn al-Walid. And what Allah has prepared for them is better than all of this. So why don't we follow their example? It's our responsibility. Inshallah, let's make it our challenge and we can achieve it, inshallah. Now there are so many aspects to talk about in the life of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. But actually what I would like to do, I would like to give you a chance to have your own comments, your own contributions, any stories you know, any things, any live examples you know about perfection, any fields, any aspects that we can achieve ihsan in during today, in this world today. Okay, please, let's take your comments, inshallah, so we will enrich the discussion, okay? So we'll take a short break, inshallah, we'll get back. So we say to the viewers, stay tuned. Da 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 Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. You're still watching Inspirations. Okay, we talked about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. We saw how beautiful his character was, how perfect, and how he achieved ihsan, actually, in all aspects of his life. And next week, inshallah, we'll try to talk or explore more aspects of this beautiful character and learn from it, for the sake of learning of it. What we do here is we're trying to learn, we're trying to benefit, and then put all this into practice. Okay? I would like now to take some of your comments or questions if you have any. Let me start here with brother.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he is a perfect example for Muslims in ihsan. One day, Abu Bakr met with Handala, and he asked Handala, how you are doing? He said, Abu Bakr, I have become a hypocrite. And
Well, Handala actually.
Yes, Handala said,
yes.
Oh, I have become a hypocrite. And Abu Bakr said, how is that, Handala? He said, Abu Bakr, as you know, when we are sitting with the Messenger of Allah, peace upon him, he explains heaven and hellfire as if we sees it. And when we go home and play with our children and get busy with our family, we forget that. Then Abu Bakr replied and he said, Wallah, I swear by Allah, I have the same feeling. So let's go ahead toward Muhammad and ask him. So they went and asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Muhammad said, what's going on? Abu Bakr said, Handala claimed that he became a hypocrite. And he says, why is that, Handala? Handala answered the same thing, that Muhammad, when we are with you, you explain hell, fire, and heaven, and as if we sees it. And when we go home, play with our children, get busy with our family, we forget all this. So Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, I swear by my soul, or I swear by Allah who has my soul in his hands, that if you were to be the way you are with me all the time, angels would stop you at the roads and shake hands with you. But Handala, it's an hour for your religion, an hour for your family, an hour for your work. So Islam is very organized, and ihsan, it's a demandatory for every single person to apply it at his best. And another saying, what you said, the hadith of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, when he asked who woke up fasting and who fed a poor person and who woke in a funeral, and he said, who visited a sick person today? He said, I did. Visiting sick people today is very seldom among Muslims. If you go to hospitals and give them some company, you would find Allah there. If you read some Quran on them, and if you make dua, that's from ihsan. That's really from ihsan. Mm-hmm. And another thing, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when they said, there are rooms in heavens you can see outside from inside and inside from outside. So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu said, who is it for, O Messenger of Allah, peace upon him? Muhammad answered, he said, it's for the one who speaks kindly. So really these days Muslims, they should watch out how they speak to one another and how they represent Islam in such a nice way. And he said, who also feed poor people. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the best meal is feeding the poor people, and the worst meal feeding the rich people, because there is so many benefits behind feeding rich people.
So actually these are aspects of ihsan,
yes.
Aspects of the Muslim character that we should all achieve. And like feeding the poor people, speaking well, treating others well, it's part of our ihsan, because it's part of everyday life, part of everyday routine. And we should do that in the way that is best. Jazakumullah khair, mashallah. Let me take a last comment here from...
Yes, I really love this idea of doing good and let just people watch your actions, and then you become the best example. A few months ago, I would like to share this story with everyone. My brother-in-law, who's a Christian, my wife used to be and became a Muslim, and he came to visit us here in Jordan.
Okay.
So as I was...
If you can quickly...
walking through, I received a call that someone wants to thank Allah, they want to slaughter a sheep, and then just distribute that to the poor people. So I said, okay, I will do that. He overheard me saying that, talking to them, so he said, can I come with you? I said, okay, we did this and, cut it to pieces and we started distributing that to the very poor people and all that. He really enjoyed that. I couldn't believe that he said, let me start helping you with the bags and everything. The night that he left, he said, you know what, I want to give you something, gift, anything, but you seem to be doing good in this life. Can you do me one favor? I said, yes, what it is? He says, here's $200. I want you to slaughter a sheep for me and distribute that for the poor people. Exactly what you did that one day. That's how we should do. Just don't have to say much. Yes. Be a good Muslim, and people will really watch and see what you're doing.
MashaAllah. This is how we should be. An example that really we can teach the people through our example. Once you have achieved ihsan, there's less talk that you have to do, because actions speak louder than words. And this is how the early generations of Muslims carried themselves, and this is how we have to be. Okay, I hope the idea of ihsan has become more or clearer to us, and the example of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And inshallah, next time we'll talk more about ihsan, more about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, take more of his beautiful example and try to be like him. And hopefully I will hear from you more comments that will broaden, inshallah, our understanding of the topic. Can we leave this for next week? Because actually we run out of... Sorry? Don't worry, inshallah, we'll try to arrange that beforehand, okay? Okay, thank you all for coming and being with us. Jazakumullah khairan. Until we meet next time, I say to our viewers, please send us your emails. Some of your emails, mashallah, are very wonderful, very informative. Until we meet next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.